The next physical ABC of the 5-tool hitters, there must be a stride and separation, or what I call the slingshot. I'd like for you to start thinking about the stride and separation as a slingshot going forward. So now if you think about a slingshot, you're pulling two ends apart, right? You're creating and storing that energy with that elastic movement. As you pull that rubber band back, as you pull that slingshot back, the more you pull, the more energy you have, right? And so what you want to do is you want to snap that slingshot with the most energy, the most stored energy that you possibly have. So cracks, it explodes, and it either fires, you know, whether you're shooting a rock or if you're trying to hit your buddy in class. I'm not really sure. Never done that before, right? So you want it to fire explosively, and you want to make sure that it has pop. It's the same thing with your baseball bat. Now, after you've made your load, your negative move, you've stored all of that energy on your backside in an efficient manner, you want your foot and your hands to match. Your front foot and your hands to match. So as this front foot goes forward, hands go back. Foot forward, hands back. As the foot's going forward, the hands are going back. A couple of points here. This is getting you into a launch position. We're going to talk about the launch position in the next video. But I really want you to think about having those hands match those feet. You need this part of your swing. You need separation in your swing. And I talk a lot about separation. Creating separation with your lower half, creating separation with your hands. One other way to think about it is you're creating distance. You're creating that distance in that elastic rubber band. So if you don't have that distance, if you don't have that separation, that elasticity, you're not going to snap and explode as powerfully, with as much power or with as much control of the barrel of your bat. So it's extremely important that you create separation in your swing. This is the number one point that I see swings break down in hitters, because it feels uncomfortable when they're starting to create separation in their swing. Some hitters will do it naturally. Some hitters will think it's such a foreign concept and it's so uncomfortable. If you take a look on your video, when you take a coach's eye or Uber Sense or whatever, and you see that this foot is going forward and your hands are staying in the same place, you know what adjustment you need to make. So for every hitter that's lunging, they need an anchor back here. They need their hands to anchor them as they go forward. This will keep that hitter back. So as I have my hands back here and they're matching, it is hard for me. I can't lunge. I'm locked here. Right, I'm in this position. My arm's probably a little long, but it's hard for me to lunge. If I pull my hands in, very, very easy for me to lunge and get out over that front side. So the stride and the separation, or the slingshot, is extremely important to create bat speed, to create precision, and to keep that hitter staying behind that baseball. This is arguably the most important part of the pre-swing movement. You can get away with a lot of things in your setup and your stance if you do them the wrong way. This part, the slingshot, you cannot get away with not having a slingshot in your swing. You will not have as much power. You will not create as much consistent contact. So again, I cannot stress the importance of having a slingshot in your baseball swing. Now, when you're going through the slingshot and you execute it the proper way, meaning your hands go forward, meaning your foot goes forward and your hands go back, that means you're getting yourself into a proper launch position. So the goal of the slingshot is to get yourself in a launch position. Now the launch position is the last position of the pre-swing movement. Now basically what this means is this is setting you up so that you can simply drop this heel and explode, stay tight to this back shoulder, pull the hands in, and deliver that barrel, the sweet spot of that barrel, right to that baseball in a short, compact, efficient manner. So getting to a rock solid launch position is something every major league hitter does, every single one of them. So it's very, very important that you get yourself into a proper launch position from the slingshot. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of the finer points of making sure that you get yourself into that good launch position and how you get there. So what I'll see is hitters, as they stride forward, they'll either step in the bucket, right? And what I would like every single hitter to do is to make sure they're landing on that inside part of this front foot. inside part of that front foot, inside part of the ball of their foot. It's going to allow them to stay back, and it's going to allow them to feel their weight and their energy. So when you're in that launch position, it's decision-making time. And you want to be in a position that you can make that decision, right? So if you're landing flat-footed and open, your energy is going to continue forward. You don't have any time to wait and make a decision whether you want to swing at that pitch. So when you're in that launch position, you want to be on the inside part of that front foot. Very, very important. The next thing I want to talk to you about is this knee and this hip. I like to see this knee and this hip in alignment, perfectly square at launch position. Perfectly square. So as long as you're landing on that inside part of that front foot, and this front knee is inside of this front foot, there should be about 6 to 8 inches between this front foot and your knee. So as long as you're in this position, your hip should be relatively square at the launch position. As long as you get to this launch position with your hands off this back shoulder, it doesn't matter how you do it. So whether your hands are coming up and they pick up at the last second before you launch, that's fine. Whether your hands are high, drop down, pick them back up. Most important thing is that these hands pick up and get into this launch position right before you take your swing.